Dutch farmers are and intelligently rebelling against, I'll put it in quotes, leaders of the Netherlands who want to limit livestock production and under the name of climate change, because for some reason nitrogen is evil now. We'll get into that another time. Justin Trudeau wants to limit fertilizer production. They're trying to handcuff and cripple farmers. We're already throwing corn into useless energy here in the US. It seems like, let's put it this way, the harvest is going to be bad this year, okay? We're going to have some issues. Next year is going to be worse. And the leaders of the free world are doing their best not to fix it, or at least prepare for it. They're doing our worst. They're doing their best to exaggerate it or exacerbate it. That's the word, exacerbate it. Am I correct here? Or am I
Well, Justin Trudeau has too much power. Justin Trudeau has too much power because he can shut down the fertilizer production 50% by shutting his mouth.
Practical fact related to that is that America is going to American farmers are struggling now because a lot of our fertilizer is made through the oil industry.
Right.
And the price of fertilizer for our farms has almost doubled in the last year. That means we're going to have less crops. That means food prices are going to rocket. That means people at the less well-off end of the spectrum are going to struggle to feed their families. Famine in America. Whoever thought we might hear that? That's insane.
Tim, I think your numbers are off. The fertilizer costs right now are up over 200%.
Wow. It's worse than I thought.
Right. And if you look at an average farm, a working farm, between fertilizer and diesel fuel for their equipment, those two costs consume something like 2/3, depending on which type of farm you're looking at. 55% to 65% of the cost of the farm is simply in fertilizer and fuel.
Yep.
So think about this in terms of the framework we're talking about. So this is all reference to the fourth. Let me get the term correct so I don't screw it up. The fourth industrial revolution. This is what is being put forth by Klaus Schwab in the World Economic Forum, which basically, if you can envision the Pol Pot's reduction of Cambodian intellects, if you can imagine that, combined with Mao's long march, which required that the entire civilization of China conform to this new concept of society. And by the way, I do mean conform. That's what he wants.
Yep.
So that it's basically retooled and westernized. All the language in this fourth revolution is all westernized language, but that's what it is. If you take away that veneer, it's all Pol Pot, it's all Mao. And what they're trying to achieve is, on the economic front, a social credit score that will allow governance to essentially pick winners and losers. And look at the language. They talk about private sector, government sector, cooperation. That means that the private sector and government sector are one and the same, completely removing the individual from any equation. You'll own nothing and be happy. And that's what they're trying to achieve. That's what this all means. So to get there, but not be obvious about it, what Tim and Pete just said is the method. They're trying to raise prices, raise control of energy, and raise prices so high that you have to then switch over, like Peter Buttigieg, did I get that right? Buttigieg says, oh yeah, he just said in testimony this week, yeah, it's okay. This means everybody's going to be forced to go to electric cars. And forcing people at this point with the economic conditions there are, this is the idea of pushing people to electric cars is the same as telling a homeless person, oh, you can get out of this by go buy a home, you'll be fine. That's the kind of logic they're using here, but that's what they're trying to do. So when you combine that, the energy piece trying to bankrupt everybody, nitrogen is not something that people should be controlling. There's no logical reason for nitrogen to be a controlled substance. It's part of fertilizer. And that's what the Danish farmers are all up in arms about, rightfully so. The idea that all these issues are now tied to climate change, climate emergency. There's no climate emergency. It's weather. Things are weather. But they're trying to tie all these things to include petrochemicals, all these things to this need to protect the environment, to save the environment.
Isn't it a sad indictment of the government
Right.
of Holland that because the climate action,
But they're responding, Tim, to Klaus Schwab and this whole
I understand that,
fourth
Yes.
generation
Yes.
revolution.
and you're absolutely right. But what the Dutch government is doing is responding to a whole load of people screaming that cow farts are bad for the climate.
And we were
What
laughing that off years
what they
ago.
don't ever do is take into account the law of unintended consequences. And I would just point out that this is going to lead not just to a shortage of beef in Holland, it's
Right.
going and
But they
food.
want that. But they
It's
want
also going to lead to a shortage of milk, butter, chocolate, margarine, you name the related products to the entire dairy industry, for example, and that is all going to struggle.
Not long after, Bill Gates was telling everybody first world people should be eating synthetic meats.
Yeah,
Not long after, the World Economic Forum types were saying, oh, eat bugs. Bugs are a great source of protein.
Here's some interesting thoughts here, guys. First off, soybean. Everybody in the health industry loves soybean. Soybean is attractive to farmers because soybean pulls nitrogen from where? Out of the atmosphere, because it's got a whole lot of nitrogen in it, and puts it where? Into the soil, which is what they're objecting to in Holland. High nitrogen content in the soil. Soybean does that pretty much better than anything else on the planet. But the issue here, which has been put forward by the anti-fertilizer crowd, is that we should all be engaged in, quote, organic, unquote, farming. If the world were to go to true organic farming, it would need to shed about, depending on whose numbers you use, it's somewhere between 15 and 25% of the population. Shed, that means they need to die, okay? So we're gonna go to a population of maybe 6 billion, as opposed to, we're headed to, I guess we're gonna cross 8 billion here in November. Interesting point to also know is the population trends are all on their own, are flattening out. And without anybody doing anything untoward of this kind at all, the population is going to peak somewhere in the 10 to 11 billion range in the middle of the century. And by the end of the century, the population is going to be back below 8 billion without any kind of catastrophically stupid idea like these folks. But there's more to this here. I just asked you a very simple question. When the folks meet together at Davos, when the billionaires meet, do you think they're eating fried grasshoppers?
No.
Or they're eating Wagyu beef? Which one, A or B, do you think is the correct answer?
None of the above.
I have to say, during survival training, they made us eat bugs. The most disgusting thing I have ever eaten in my life was a large bird-eating spider. It was the most disgusting thing I've ever eaten.
I can imagine.
I actually, I had a friend who
The
went to
bug.
Mexico on a business trip. She took a picture of her plate with some kind of like vegetables. I'm not sure if it was rice in it, but there were 4 big insects right on top. And she says, don't knock it till you try it. I'm going to do both. I'm going to knock it and not try it. So that's,
Cool.
that's it for me. Thank you for watching this clip of Thought to Action Live, presented by the Herb London Center for Policy Research. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the big red bell for updates so you know when we're putting anything out. Also, check out our Teespring store and our website, londoncenter.org. The Teespring store has all sorts of pretty cool stuff we put out there. We have new t-shirt designs coming out soon and much more. The link is in our description. You can watch our full live stream on our Patreon channel, patreon.com/thoughttoaction. That's patreon.com/thoughttoaction. Once again, that link is also in the description. Also, as a member of our Patreon page, you can see sneak previews of our programs, watch them before anybody else. Exclusive content will be available, and you'll have access to our full Ask Us Anything sessions where we answer your questions. Once again, thank you very much for watching this clip of our live stream. Stay informed and make your day a great one.